Whoa, hold on. I was going to talk about this little camera today, but Fujifilm just released some brand new firmware updates and they improve autofocus. Hi everyone and welcome to Pal the Tech. Today Fujifilm just released brand new firmware updates for the following cameras: the X-T5 and XS20 and the XH2S and XH2. These updates include a combination of bug fixes as well as improvements to autofocus. Let's get the bug fixes out of the way. The X-T5 and the XH2 update also fixes a viewfinder display issue where the preview becomes monochromatic and in some cases will just freeze, and that has now been fixed. Also, on the X-T5, a random appearance of a write error message has been fixed. This message wasn't all the time, it would just sometimes randomly appear whenever you were trying to save images to memory card slot number 2. Now, let's talk about the autofocus improvements in this update that all 4 of these cameras are going to receive. According to Fujifilm, they have improved autofocus accuracy when you're shooting under the following conditions. First, you're either in AFS or AFC. Second, you have set your autofocus mode to single point. And lastly, you are using a wide-angle lens. You should start to see autofocus improvements when you are shooting low-contrast objects in the distance. Things like leaves or darker foliage, that sort of thing, particularly when using wide-angle lenses. I tested out these exact conditions today with an X-T5, both before and after the firmware update. I used both the 16mm prime lens as well as the 10-24 zoom lens. And I can report to you that I have definitely noticed an improvement. For example, when shooting with continuous autofocus, I was going right from here to the tree, to the table, to the background. And before the update, the camera struggled with the shots and I missed a few. It was slower to recognize the changes in subjects as I was moving it around. However, after the firmware update, the camera pretty much nailed the shots from the foreground tree to the table to the background. I also noticed that after the update, subjects that were a further distance away would be more reliably captured as well. It wasn't perfect, but it was noticeably better than it was before. I also tested with faster moving subjects, and again, it performed better. I tried it out here after the update, and notice how it follows the man, and then it switches to the car. Before the update, I'm sure I would have missed a more significant number of shots, particularly if I had done it in burst mode. I then started to run some additional tests with a 10-24mm lens, and then, right there in the middle of it, I broke another micro HDMI cable, and I needed that to show you the test footage. And besides, at that point, I had to get back here in the studio and make this video. But from what I saw, this firmware update is definitely worth getting. Try it out yourself. You'll see what I mean. And yes, there's obviously always more room for improvement when it comes to any camera's autofocus. I am glad that Fujifilm is at least getting these updates rolled out. We'll see what happens and what additional cameras are included in the next round of updates. Because all of the cameras that are receiving the firmware update today do in fact support the Fujifilm app, you can update the firmware on your camera using the app. If you want full details on how to do this, see my full video breakdown on the new Fujifilm app. I have a table of contents there where you can just jump right to the part of the video that's about updating the firmware. Now, I will leave a link to that video below, as well as another link to where you can learn more about today's firmware updates as well as download them. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.